Hey folks, in this video we're going to be talking about using 7th chords, specifically dominant 7th chords. I have a couple different scenarios in mind, but this whole video is aimed at the bluegrass guitar player. Go to a lot of jams, you learn a lot of songs really quick, you gotta know how to embellish those chord progressions as they come at you. So here we go. Bill Monroe says one of the biggest influences on him outside of his family was a local blues guitar player named Arnold Schultz. So let's start there. If you're going to play a blues in the key of G, you'd use all dominant chords. You'd get G7, C7, and D7. You'd probably never play a bluegrass song like that, but just to get this feeling of dominant chords in our heads, let's go ahead and play a 12-bar blues together. Now go ahead and make your 7 chords however you want. I know a lot of people use different G7 chords, so don't be confused with whatever I do. So the thing about all those dominant chords in the blues, the thing that makes it feel so good is all of that tension. You're always looking for this release and you never entirely get it. Even though all those chords are moving us towards that, always moving towards it, always moving forwards, but you never really get that release. Now we want to add a little bit of that tension, a little bit of that playfulness into bluegrass. So let's agree on this bluegrass progression and then we can blues it up a little bit. So here we go. So let's take some of those tensions that we heard earlier in the blues and let's figure out exactly where they want to resolve to, where all those chords want to go. You can actually do that really easily with the circle of fifths. That's not scary. Basically everything wants to resolve to the left. So D7 would want to go to G, G7 would want to go to C. That means that if we play a bluegrass progressions that's just G, C, G, D, it's really easy to figure out where we can substitute things. For instance, we can change our G to a G7 when we go to C. Or we can change our D to a D7 when we go to G. If that seems confusing, just go ahead and listen to this example again and you can play along and you can hear how I'm using those tensions to make the chord progression have a little more interest to it. So something that's interesting that you may or may not have noticed is that when you're playing the blues, D7 never leads us to G. Even though when you look at the circle of fifths, D7 really wants to go to G. Every time we go back to G in the blues, we're led by C7. So if you want your bluegrass chord progressions to sound even more bluesy, you might add in that C7 chord before you go to G. Now, you would never do this in a song that was a ballad or that you really wanted to sound beautiful. This is for a song that we really want to sound bluesy. So one last thing I should probably say is that you should really be trusting your ear and you should be careful when you use these dominant chords, because these chords do want to go to specific places. If you try to use a G7 chord to go to a D or a C7 chord to go to a D, it's going to sound strange or kind of weird in most situations. So you should really be paying attention to what everyone else around you is doing, and if people are looking at you funny, you should probably rein it in too. Alright, if you like this video, please comment, please subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram. You can check out the website, lessonswithmarcel.com. Tons of free stuff there. And I guess I'll see you next time.